Okay, cleaning 6-liter parts. Got a couple intake manifolds. Got a EGR cooler that we were trying to clean. They're really a pain in the ass, kinda, to try and get all the soot and everything out of them. We're gonna weld this cooler here, and so wanted to fill the cooler itself with degreaser to be able to get the cooler as clean as possible. And so we actually took a EGR delete here and clamped it onto this cooler, and then we filled the cooler itself with degreaser, and actually you can kind of see a little bit in the color there. It's kind of nasty.
And we've already pressure washed this out.
Yeah, we've already pressure washed the cooler out.
Or steam clean.
Yeah, several times. And we've already... Oh, that's so cool to be able to get the camera in there. Mm-hmm. We've already steam cleaned out the intake manifolds. They're not perfect. We're going to do it again, because you can see there's a little bit of shit down in there. But we like to get things as clean as possible. Also, my thought process on the cooler is that because we're going to weld the exhaust portion of the cooler, but we have to allow coolant flow through the cooler. If we weld off the cooler while the cooler is dirty, and then you have an internal coolant leak inside the cooler, it can possibly get the coolant dirty and put the coolant back into the engine, which obviously we don't want. So if we get the cooler as clean as possible, weld it off, and then it then later develops an internal coolant leak, we don't care, because it's clean coolant going into a clean cooler. This cooler here, shit, I don't want to fuck up. Okay. This cooler here, we highly suspect had a internal coolant leak. Yeah. That actually works really well. But you can see there's like coolant residue in there.
In the exhaust portion.
Yeah. And we're just going to shit can this cooler and throw it in the scrap. But I guess just for shits and giggles, let's try and pressurize this here.
Are you still here?
Yeah, actually I'm going to turn the light back on. And see what happens. Is that leaking from just around the...
Oh, yeah. It is.
Ah! Shit, I can't hold that. Okay, go again. That actually kind of hurts.
Yeah, do you want less pressure?
Yeah. I can't hold it.
Yeah, sorry.
But I don't hear shit just instantly pouring out of the cooler. Okay. Or just, yeah, release the pressure, or... Okay. A little more. Yeah, I don't hear anything leaking out of the cooler. But I think it is, like, I would call that fairly obvious that that is the cooler that's leaking there. Mm-hmm. This one here is the one that had what we suspect to be the cooler leak, and sure looks like it, although I was hoping to see it when we pressure tested it. This intake manifold was actually like steam cleaned from coolant getting into the intake manifold while it was running. But that's weird. I wonder if maybe it just would only leak when it gets hot.
I don't know, because we were using coolant. We found a small external leak later, but we were using coolant.
Yeah, like the lower radiator hose was just a little loose.
And then the EGR valve was wet when we pulled it out.
Uh-huh.
You could visibly see moisture in the intake manifold. And then, did you see anything while it was running? Was it
Well, I remember pulled the EGR valve, had you start it,
Right.
and it was starting to bubble up through the port in the intake manifold
Yeah.
where the EGR valve goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was hoping to see something there when we just pressurized with air, but I guess not.